vino spumeggiante, nel bicchiere scintillante, come il riso dell'amante, mite infonde il giubilo.
Here we are at Serrano. The town is built on a ridge of volcanic rock. I live on this side to the east and Sean on the other side to the west. When I first came to Serrano in 1988, I came by bus. An affable man greeted me, and when I asked how to get to the Via del Casalino, where a painter friend of mine was staying, he suggested that I go along the roadway. After I walked quite a ways out of town, I realized that he must have been mistaken. In time, I learned that Aldo was quite mad and lived in the local asylum. He was known for standing at crossroads and giving motorists incorrect directions. If they wanted to go to Rome, to the south, he would indicate the road north to Siena. Aldo was just one of many from the asylum who were permitted to mingle with the townspeople. At times, it seemed quite like Philippe de Broca's King of Hearts, a film set in a small abandoned town in France taken over by mad people. Today, the asylum has become more an old person's home. However, there are still more than a few mad people amongst us, including us. Today, we're going to visit with Annetta Forti, who's one of the last original people from Serrano that still live in the old town. She continues to go strong and looks much younger than her 88 years. She's a close neighbor of mine and has always been very motherly with me. I learned Italian and local cooking in her kitchen. Today we're going to make tortelli, ravioli with ricotta cheese. Excellent. And here we come into Serrano. That's the Aldobrandeschi fortress, which was later fortified by the Orsini, although that original building was built in the 13th century, I guess. And we're just going to come to where I first got off the bus and met Aldo, who told me to walk out of town when I wanted to go into the historical center of the town. And this is the piazza. Okay, now we're coming into the piazza, and on the one side is the Communist bar, and on the other side is the right-leaning bar, we'll call it the Berlusconi bar. And when I first came here, there was a guy named Graziano who became increasingly fat because he drifted between the two bars. He had Down syndrome and was another person who was in the asylum. He would ask for potato chips in one place and ice cream in the other, and lived to a ripe old age. But he was a very endearing figure. Now we're coming to one of the medieval entrances to the town, which is called the Arco dei Ferrini. And here I would invariably encounter, again when I first came here, Tonino, who was an elderly fellow. And when I passed by him, he would stand on this side of the arch. He would say, "Da qui non si passa." And it really gave me the impression that I was entering the gates of hell. And as I was at the time working and living in the house that I was renovating, it really did seem a bit hellish at times. But I think now, to the unjaundiced eye, as we come to the Piazza della Chiesa, it seems like a really very nice place, in fact. Okay, now we're coming down to where my house is. I got a little maneuver to do. One. Joe. All the windows of my home look out onto the Lente River Valley. 60 years ago, this would have been a view of townspeople's terraced gardens and vineyards. Today, the only discernible plot is that of my garden, where you can make out the glowing water-filled demijohns I talked about in the previous episode. We're going to walk into the kitchen and Here's Tirone, my best buddy, sitting under the...
There he is.
There he is. Where are you going?
Window. Up you come. Now. There you go.
Okay, let's get to work. Enough playing with the Tirone.
No, you fall off.
Yeah, he rests himself on your hand, and if you don't hold him, he will go out the window. We're going to go to Aneta to do the tortelli, and she's in agreement with me, however, that I'm going to make the ragu. And this is a recipe that is common to Sorano. It's a mixture of beef and pork, 300 grams of beef and 200 grams of pork, and other things, which I'm going to gather from the kitchen. First thing I'm going to do is get the chopping board. And get a little bit of olive oil, which I'll leave there. We've got some onions, thyme. So, the recipe calls for 1 medium-sized onion. I've got 2 smallish ones, so that will do. And 4 cloves of garlic.
Get cooking.
Quickly.
Quickly, otherwise Aneta's gonna have us for breakfast.
11, so.
So who taught you how to do this?
Well, we would like to say that it was Aneta, but the story is that in fact there were 2 elderly ladies that became my very good friends here. One being Aneta and the other one being Ivana, who sadly passed away about 4 years ago. And I would go to one or the other for lunch or occasionally for dinner, and they both grew up here. They lived about 200 yards from the other. They probably never ate together. At lunchtime, I sometimes had to tiptoe by Aneta's home if I was on my way to her back from Ivana, as I've learned that they are quite competitive and rather jealous, certainly all to my benefit. I can't talk and chop at the same time, unfortunately, it seems.
Okay.
That's chopped enough. That's the onion and the garlic. Good blood of oil. Fry the onions and garlic up until they're golden and soft. Now I'm adding some fresh thyme leaves stripped from the sprigs. Curiously, thyme is not used in local kitchens here, despite the fact that it grows profusely in the wild. I actually turned Ivana onto thyme, and she subsequently used it in a number of her dishes. When it came to writing up the recipes for Feast from Paradiso, I went to Ivana for the ragu recipe, actually, and we discussed what would be the proper measures and such. And I suggested that we use thyme in that recipe as well, and she was agreeable. And so we had a melding of minds over that, which resulted in a particularly good ragu recipe. But we certainly are not going to tell Aneta that this is Ivana's ragu. We're going to add the meat. And we cook this until the meat is nicely browned. This is from the garden from last year. And I bought it late summer last year. Smells good. Okay. Annette is going to be very upset. We are late. Where did I put that? I'll be right back. I'm going to go in the canteen and get a bottle of water. Okay, that's nicely browned now. Give it a good slug of red wine. Okay, this we're going to have to let cook down, probably for about an hour. In fact, I'm going to leave that to simmer while we go over to Annetta's with all that we need for making the tortelli. So, off we go then.
Okay.
Okay, off we go.
Off we go.
Out my back door, which is intriguing because it enters into another part of town. And on we go to Annetta with the ricotta and the spinach from the garden and the farm fresh eggs. And she's going to be waiting for us very impatiently, no doubt. And you see how close a neighbor she is.
Annetta!
Oh, ma dove sei? Vieni qua.
La fai?
Speriamo.
Io ti urlo, ma guarda dove ha messo le cose.
Questo è il ragù.
Ora io ti do il tegame.
Sì.
E spinaci l'ha portato?
Sì.
Sì, è tutto qua.
Ah, meno male.
Messo.
Avanti, avanti. Qui ci sei stato da casa mia?
No, non credo.
Mettilo qui sopra, che ora la mettiamo nel tegame.
Ok.
Perché la padella, perché va cotto bene, capito?
Sì.
Questa tarda, qui dopo la lavamo. Tanto devo fare la sfoglia. Qua. Perché questi è senza acqua, capito?
Sì, sì, sì.
Aspetta che ora apro qua. È bravo. È bravo. Ma digli un po' chi gli ha insegnato.
You did. You're the one that told him how to make it properly.
Wink, wink.
Wink,
nudge,
wink.
nudge.
Wink, wink. So of course he made it properly. Otherwise he knows that you'd beat him.
Schiaccia.
Gotcha.
Giusto, per bene.
That's about
Bene.
500 grams
Mettici un uovo.
Okay.
of ricotta, which is made with sheep milk.
Ma aspetta, ci mettiamo un pochino di formaggio. Lo gratti.
Quanto?
Ora te lo dico io.
Dio.
Mettici l'uovo.
Ecco.
Mettici anche l'uovo giù.
Okay. First the egg.
E buscindolo così.
Okay.
So we've added the egg. We'll be mixing that in with the ricotta.
Se no volevo mettere nastro.
Mettiamo due.
Tanto ce l'ho.
We're going to put in 2 eggs.
Mettici
Make it
un
even
altro.
richer.
Altro?
Questo,
Ok.
metterci questo capiccino.
Okay.
Guarda. Ora ci metto.
What are you putting in? Che cosa metti?
Cos'è?
È la cosa.
La cosa.
Aspetta, ora te lo dico.
The thing.
La cannella. La cannella. The cinnamon.
Metti un pochino di
Sale?
sale. Pochino perché sa.
Basta, basta.
E metto sopra. Un po'. Mettici giusto formaggio.
pasta?
La messi a posto.
Sì,
Sì.
sì,
Questa
sì.
ora per la pasta la metto.
Okay, in with the grated cheese.
Quattro uova nella farina, allora.
4.
O tre. Quattro.
But
4 eggs in the flour, which she's made a well out of.
Aspetta, Guardimi come le fa. Intanto l'ha vista come fa le spoglie.
Sì.
Te la vidi l'altra volta.
She adds the egg a little bit at a time, mixing it with the flour. Sto parlando in inglese, I'm speaking in English. Per
Perché
farle capire.
per portargliele là dopo le
Sì.
porti. Ah, le porti in Inghilterra?
England, United States, Germania, Cina,
Le porti?
Africa,
Le porti?
tutto il mondo. The whole world is going to see it. How
Anche
Annette
giù,
makes
vai anche giù da Oro.
tortelli.
Io potevi dire che venisse giù anche lui. Tanto ci basta, non sa voglia.
She wants to invite the whole town at this point.
yeah.
Poi la tua moglie lo sa. Lei è italiana.
Certo.
Lei le sa fare.
Ma
Sì, no, lei fa, sì.
Le fa
No,
voglia.
no, my wife can make it, but
La voglia se le fa.
it's always better when someone else makes it.
now she begins kneading, continuing to mix and then kneading.
Aspetta che prendo questa bottiglietta. Con fagioli.
Ah sì, anche io mi
Lui-
piace, sì, sì.
Gli fa il cipollato di lì un po'.
Cipollato buono.
Beh, qualche volta...
She makes a very good onion soup.
Ah,
Anche voi, vi? Io lo fa anche a voi. Vi tapo tutti, la tua moglie e lui, noi 4.
è proprio pasta con fagioli è buono.
Ora li metto a bagno.
Sì.
Ah, così è più buono, sono fagioli. E tagliatini.
Ah,
Ha capito?
sì, 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 sì.
Lui era il nostro pasto principale.
Eh,
Sarà 7 figli, sa. La mamma la faceva spesso,
She had there were 7 children in this house, which is about 400 square feet, 40 square meters, not probably even less. And she was saying that la pasta principale quale era?
E che?
La pasta principale per la famiglia?
pasta e fagioli.
Pasta fagioli.
E che te le dava tutte le robe che c'è ora? Che ora le buttano?
Non esisteva.
No.
Sean's wife is from the north, and Annette is saying that she's been up there and visited
Tanti posti ho girato.
where they eat a lot of polenta, but also here they ate polenta. And she was saying that the two principal things that they ate were pasta with beans and polenta.
Vedi, beh, se cosa lo può la macchinetta.
Ma tu quando abitavi qui con 7 figli?
7 figli, caro.
7 children?
7 figli qui. Allora, ora ti racconto com'era la mia casa.
Oh, now she's going to
Vedi,
tell us how her
quest'altro
house
qui
was.
Non c'era, allora qui ci si metteva un letto.
Ah,
Io, le mie sorelle e i miei fratelli, 2 da capo e 2 da piedi. Lo sai, no?
4 in un letto. 4 in a bed.
4 in a
Poi
bed.
una c'era il papà e la mamma e un altro.
Father and
E
mother
un altro
up in
era
that
dal nonno.
room.
Una al nonno.
Per forza.
Non c'è
si
spazio.
Oh, and one child stayed with the
racconto.
grandfather because they couldn't all fit in here. But it was 10 in a relatively small space.
Ora. È venuto qui da me.
She's
Bravo
asked
che sei.
Sean
Si
to,
impari.
who's learning very well. She's very impressed.
She's impressed with me, which is a good thing. Because if
Right.
she wasn't impressed,
We'd be in trouble.
I'd be thrown out the door by now.
Sarebbe mettere un pochino di zucchero che dici.
Anche zucchero.
Ho zucchero alla cannella per me.
Ah,
saying that she prefers to eat her tortelli with sugar and cinnamon. But I've made that ragu, so I have it with ragu today. Ma quante volte deve passare la pasta? 5-6 volte.
Viene più bella.
Ah.
Se
The more you pass it, the better it gets. The finer it is.
Vedi bella che viene. Che dici, dobbiamo fare più fina?
Sì, come no.
Ora è su
Proviamo.
4.
Ecco.
Metti su 5?
Ecco, guardiamo un po'.
Ok.
Proviamo, se no...
Troppo fine?
No,
Meglio così.
Mi sa che meglio sul 5. Ora proviamo. Perché ora le dovremo...
So she puts a spoonful of the mixture.
Tanto c'è la ricotta, vedo che c'è parecchia.
Folds it over. And then seals it with the fork.
Tanto è buona anche la pasta, capito? Perché col sugo tu poi le metti in la tovaglia, sa?
Sì.
Vedi, prima si costa, capito?
All'una, poi 2, poi 3.
Fino a 5 andiamo.
Fino alle 5.
So she runs it through 4 or 5 times, always making, adjusting the machine so that the pasta is fine.
L'ha già fatta tu.
Lui lavorava in una banca, non lo so, mi sembrava manciano.
Sì.
E lei era una cuoca, però tutti e due erano abbastanza antipatici.
Tanto.
Ah, ecco.
Who's so unpleasant?
We were talking about the people that had the restaurant where I live. And,
quelli laggiù della...
I said they weren't very nice people, and she said no, they're not very nice people, but they're not there anymore. They've closed.
Oh, good.
Tanto.
Meglio venire a mangiare da Annetta.
Ci credo.
Much better to come
Ma
and
se
eat
ero
with
più
Annetta.
giovane, la facevo una bella trattoria.
If she was
No,
younger,
ma-
she could have
ormai
done a
sono
nice
vecchia.
trattoria. Ma mica tanto.
Ma sei sempre in tempo.
Sì, sono sola e chi mi aiuta?
No, tu devi stare là solo comandi, capito? Stai
We're
là.
talking about opening up a restaurant with Annetta. Anch'io, sì. Noi tre. The three of us.
Anche lui.
Well, make a nice restaurant together. Good idea.
Caro. Perché lo sai qua giù nel paese vecchio ci starebbe bene,
Sì.
perché chi passa
Sì.
me lo dicono sempre.
Quello è vero.
Ormai la finivo la ricotta. Non male. Ha voglia. Ho usato la cosa, vedi? Ecri, avevo fatto pari con la ricotta.
Con il ripieno?
4 uova sono queste.
Ah.
No. Abbiamo fatto tutto bene. Vedi?
Aspetta,
Fa vedere.
Guarda belli.
Belli.
Ti e portili la tavola. Ora ti do le forchette.
Ci sono già.
Ma per
Per tirarli su.
Ecco.
Christopher lì.
Questo va lì?
E lui lì. E voi qua. Guarda belli. Se ne mangi tutti ora sentirai. Questo è bello.
Io mi sa che per ora.
Basta, no?
Ne dai un altro?
Te lo voglio dare un altro per benino. Aspetta che ci metto il zucchero.
Ecco. Che servizio meraviglioso.
Ma lui ha lavorato,
Ecco, allora se l'hai guadagnato
I
un po',
worked.
Aspetta che ci metto un altro. Sono buoni?
Assaggiare.
Ma certo, perché ci sono altro vassoio.
Buono.
Ottimo.
Anche il sugo è buono.
Tu l'ha fatto buono.
Sì?
Sì, sì.
That's good.
Come on, Chris, force yourself.
No problem.
Poi guarda tutto quel bel sugo.
Vuoi un cucchiaio? No. E tu?
Ce l'ho questo?
Ma ci portiamo quell'altro qua.
No, non vi porta niente.
Ma quel sugo?
No, basta, io basta. Ora basta.
Non c'è, davvero ci voglio un...
No, non digerisco, poi dopo. Troppa roba.
Spoon. Ah, bravo.
Così.
Ecco. Questo non lo so.
Mettici anche qualcuno di quelli là.
No, aspetta.
Ecco.
Ma qualche giorno non lo vedo mai per niente.
Ah, vero? Sparisce.
Gli fa, ma sei morto o vivo?
Va giù per l'orto, là il giardino ha un sacco di cose da
Ma io lo
fare.
vedo,
Per fare l'orto ci vuole uomo morto.
lo vedo di qui.
Sì,
E di là.
È vero.
Annette is concerned that I come so infrequently, sometimes she's worried that I'm dead. And so my response was, because I have a garden, a vegetable garden, and because the saying goes in Italian, to be able to do a garden you need to be a dead man, which essentially means that you have to devote yourself so entirely to the garden that it's almost as though you're dead. That's my response. Yes, I'm a dead man.
But the wine is here. So I put it away so it wasn't...
No, ancora non l'ho toccato. Questo bravo.
Faremo un cin cin?
No, invece ha...
Sì, facciamo un cincino alla coca.
Certo.
Salute,
Brava.
Salute.
Grazie.
Annetta. Cin cin.
Saluti, allora.
Saluto e sono stata bene con te.
Grazie Annetta.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Ciao.
Grazie. Ciao ciao.
Ciao ciao.